Good morning. How's everybody doing? I get thumbs up. Somebody talk to me.
Good morning.
Hello. Good
Good
job. All right,
morning.
James. Thank you.
Good
Somebody,
morning.
thank
Monday.
you. All right, there you go.
Morting.
Morting. So obviously, Thanksgiving week, big week with the families. If you have nowhere to go, I promise you, somebody in your life would love to have you at Thanksgiving dinner. If not, call me. Uh, I'm not cooking. Rick is cooking. Call Rick. I'm kidding. Rick Hale, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Good morning.
Richard, how are you?
Doing fabulous.
I know you were out on the open seas. Look well
We
rested, right?
we had a great week last week, and as always, when you take a vacation, you're glad to be back home as well.
Absolutely. And the Dolphins didn't play this weekend, right? So we don't even have anything fun to discuss in that regard. All right. Broward County, single family. We're still watching that active inventory start to taper off this time of year. Active under contract still kind of holding that 160, 150. What's interesting is we've got a couple articles that's really talking about how the market is heated up, which uh, I love on this call. We tend to see things before the news medias catch it. And when the news media finally catches it, it kind of validates that what we're doing is really kind of ahead of the market. So I love that. Um, but we're been 150, 193, 163, 158, sitting in that 153 level on the pendings. 284 closed out in the last 7 days in Broward County. That is a giant number for Broward County. We had 1 week back in October that was 286, but outside of that, that's a really big closing number for Broward County single family. Makes me happy. All right, moving down to condos, if I can get there. Oop. All right, so had a little uptick in condo inventory this week. Uh, we had 1 week that went over 1,000, and then we're at 950. So pretty strong movement going on in the condo market in terms of inventory. But 122 went active under contract in the last 7 days. You guys tell me, that seems like a really big number to me. What are you feeling out there in the marketplace and specific to condos? Man, I'm overwhelmed with commentary.
Well,
All right,
only
there you
thing
go,
that
babe.
comes to mind for me is that November 1st is the official beginning of season where we have a little
Yep.
bump.
Okay, so people buying condos for the season,
Well, there's more buyers during
more buyers
season.
down here looking. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
So
so we get a
they're
little
in
bump.
town. Perfect.
Yeah, I'd say there's been a good uptick too. This is Alex Brown. Especially in the
Hey, Alex.
luxury market in Las Olas. I had a listing there and got a buyer. And in the luxury buildings, there's not as much inventory at all. It probably went from like in August to like 15, 20 to now like 5 or 6 per luxury building. So I'd say things are moving a
Love
little
it.
faster in the condo industry.
So just question, and I don't know the exact answer to this, but maybe it's a good question, is one of the things that is very strategic in a real estate agent's perspective is messaging. And how are you trying to attract that uptick in seasonal people in town? What are you doing from a message standpoint, whether it's on social media or maybe it's some kind of email campaign? What's the messaging you're putting out right now? Are you putting any
Well,
messaging out?
Well, that's what I was going to say, Brett. It's like, are you putting messages out being proactive, or are you just waiting for the calls to come in so you can talk to the people that are interested?
Yeah.
Well, and there's generic marketing and there's active response marketing. Are you sending out things that might inspire someone to reach out, to reciprocate and return your call or the message? Whether it's a free report or information or updates or, there's a million ways to connect with people, but the idea is to create intrigue and continually not only be the source of information, but the source of opportunity.
Um, are y'all aware? I'm gonna go off script for a second. Are y'all aware that Jason Abrams got on Instagram?
Yep.
If not, you
No.
should be aware. TheRealJasonAbrams.com. So he put out this video here, this video, and I'm gonna play it real quick.
I've been getting all kinds of questions. People say, Jason, why are you now on Instagram? Well, friends, I had an awakening. Jay Papasan explained this to me. Here's what he said. He said, by and large, those of us that wake up and run a database-driven business, which is what the real estate business is, all live on an X and Y axis. On the Y-axis, we have connection. We are trying to raise the level of connection with people. Then on the X-axis, we have scale. We are trying to increase the amount of scale that we have. For the longest time, small business owners, we haven't had the ability to do that. Think about this. When you meet with someone one-on-one, you have almost no scale, but the highest amount of connection. Then you have things like client events. That's going to be a high level of connection, maybe a little less than one-on-one. And you're going to scale a little more. Maybe you have 50, 100, 200, 300 people. Now then you have way down here. This is a really low amount of connection with a lot of scale. This is stuff like mailers, if you're doing geographic farming. And then over here, this has no scale and connects with no one. Friends, I call this the dead zone. So, why did I get on social media? Well, when you think about what has the highest amount of connection with the most amount of scale. And forever, when you grew up, gang, you were here with movies. Joy is filming this. Joy, what's your favorite movie?
Oh my God, the only thing that came to mind was Die Hard.
Which is a Christmas movie. So we had movies over here. We have podcasts over here. Comment down below if you don't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. You're, of course, wrong, but I'd love to hear from you. You have podcasts and this thing right here. Gang, you got social media. Never before in the history of ever have you had small business owners and individuals with the ability to connect at the highest level and offer the most amount of scale. So, Jason Abrams on Instagram, why is that? Because I get it, gang. And guess what? Now that I'm here, you're not getting rid of me anytime soon.
So I listen to this video and then I come back to this conversation around messaging. And I go, how are we scaling messaging and how are we connecting with the most amount of people around this opportunity that is now, right? Like you, Paige, you made the comment, like there's way more people in town November 1st. It's certainly translating in numbers to transactions, right? But I think we could sit here and say, one, okay, that's exciting. We have more transactions. Or two, how do we go get our unfair share or drive the market? I think it's really a messaging conversation. What do you think of this? I'm way off script here, but whatever.
Well, there's two aspects to marketing.
I think, people coming into town,
Yeah.
what's happening. These are like simple lead generators that you can plug into ChatGPT. Give me the events for the month of December and spit something out. And then as I'm new into town, I'm going to find what this guy does and what's happening. And he's the industry expert on what's happening in Fort Lauderdale. He might know where to find me a place.
Go, Patrick.
I just want to share that the people buy the story, not the data. So you've got to be able to compel people with a story that they can live into or recognize that has relevance in their world and their life, which is the success story. This client did this and then we found this and now they're living this amazing life experiencing this. And so that's what I'm most attracted to, and I think that's a consumer and a human response.
Mm-hmm. Any
Any oth-
thoughts?
I was just gonna say, for me, because we keep talking about all the people that are where they're moving from, and so I just make sure that I include the hashtag of people from New York flocking to Florida, et cetera, for my open houses. And one of the things is I'm getting ready to hit the market or hit the MLS with a listing, and I'm doing an open house this weekend. It's Thanksgiving weekend, and I figure, hey, for people that are visiting, this probably would be the best time to do one on Saturday.
Yeah, I love that, Michelle.
Awesome.
All right. I'm way off script. Let me catch up. 107 in the pendings category. Great number. And then once again, a big bump. 184 closed out Broward County condo, Miami-Dade, single family, a little tapering off on the inventory, which is healthy. Big number of active under contract, 134, pendings, 171. I am excited about the activity in both Broward and Miami-Dade, and we'll get to Palm Beach for single family. And 231 closed out in the last 7 days. I just I want you to remember these numbers when we get to this article here in a minute. That's just talking about how the market is certainly moving faster and coming back. If we go to Miami-Dade condos, we've got a same story, a little tapering off in active inventory, but a giant number in active under contract. I'd say giant, 30% increase of what we've been consistently at. I think last week I was like, man, look, we've been at pretty consistent around 90 for weeks. And then all of a sudden we jumped to 123, which is a giant increase in a week span. 146 pending, really healthy. And then same thing, 182 closed out. The market's moving. Rounding out with Palm Beach, single family. Let me make sure I'm on Palm Beach. Yes. Single family uptick in active status changes. We were a little low last week and then back at that 800 level, which is pretty consistent in Palm Beach right now. 207 went under contract. There was a week 2 weeks ago that was 224. So it's not as drastic of an uptick, but certainly an up arrow. And then 145 is currently pending. Uh, Man, I just hope those are our contracts for one. And two, I hope this is people meeting their 2025 goals and getting that last bit of business under contract and closed out before the end of the year here. 252 closed in the last 7 days. Looks really healthy, hitting condos. Same story. It popped back up a little bit in active status. 96 went under contract. So still pretty consistent in Palm Beach, not a giant uptick. And then pendings are up though. We're at 94 pending right now in Palm Beach condos. And then 158 closed out the MLS in the last 7 days. Really, really healthy number. Richard, you've studied these numbers way longer than most of us. What do we need to know?
Keep doing what you got to do. We've been looking at these numbers week by week for a couple of months now. We are not seeing the typical fall slowdown. Season or not, when you look at historic numbers, starting in September, things start dropping off month by month. We're not seeing that right now. That tells me there's consumer confidence in South Florida staying strong, and the buyers are seeing value in what they're looking for.
Yep. All right. Two things that I just want you in tune with and aware of. One is I believe there's going to be some disruption with NAR next year. I don't think a lot, but I think it's going to be the association by and large is having to redefine what its value is to the to the community, right? The NAR settlement started that conversation. I think the large mergers and acquisitions in the industry is going to put pressure on that. So I think you're going to notice that NAR is going to feel some pressure in 2026 and really focus on their value proposition to us as a community. And I think we benefit from that. I'll leave that there. And the other big thing that I think that's going to happen in 2026 is Jerome Powell is the Fed chair. You could argue this next statement, but he's probably the second most powerful person in the United States in terms of our world and economics and all this. However, um, his chair ends in May next year. So there's going to be a lot of politics around who's going to replace him as the Federal Reserve chair come next May. And I can tell you that one thing is going to affect our industry probably more than anything in the next coming years. So it's just something to be aware of. I am trying to remember how long he's been in that position. It was Alan Greenspan for decades, it felt like, and then Jerome Powell came in.
I think it's 18 years.
And yeah, so not that there's not really a talking point outside of an awareness point here that this is coming down the pipe next year. So it's something to be aware of and in tune with. I don't remember if it was 18 years. I got into the real estate industry 26 years ago. So I was maybe 8 years into the business. So I don't really remember at that time the effect of the Federal Reserve chair changing. Richard, y'all been in longer than me. Anybody on the call? Yeah.
I don't ever recall the federal chair being talked about like it has in the last couple of years. And that just has to do with politics of the moment. The Federal Reserve's job is to keep things moving nice and calm, really, so nobody notices it. When there's severe inflation, their job is to bring it down. When we have high employment, their job is to stimulate the economy and bring it back up. They've always been appreciated by most of the country, whether you agree with them or not. But right now, and this is not political, I don't mean it to be a scary part or not, but if he's replaced by somebody who is going to listen to our current government, their first job is going to be to drop interest rates as much and as fast as they can. And, that has other effects on the overall economy. And, it could stall our business for a while by people sitting there going, well, I'm going to wait for that to happen before I buy a house because interest rates are going to come down by a whole point, if not more. We've just got to be aware in our own minds as to what the potential of that could be and understand how to talk to our sphere out there about it.
Yeah. But it's coming. These are big things coming in 26. I think there's going to be pressure on value prop from NAR and pressure around the Federal Reserve chair. Just like I said, I'm not here to predict we do predict, but I just want you aware of what's coming down the pipe in 2026, because as much as I was all excited to have a normal year, there's never a normal year in real estate. All right. This one is exciting. So total pending home sales reach multi-year high with mortgage rates near 6%. So we went through an awesome time in real estate coming out of the pandemic, but it was abnormal. And then we went through the shock and awe of that with an abnormally low season. And yet we're coming out of that season. It couldn't happen at a better time, because I think that We are due for an increase in home sales, and it's already starting. And this just validates all the conversations we've been having on this call around, hey, we're seeing the market move faster. We're seeing the inventory come down. We're seeing the buyer demand come up. We're just seeing the buyers starting to put foot on the gas pedal. What did y'all get out of this? Rick, Richard?
Brett, we've talked about this before, you and I. People can only stay, the pendulum swings. You go to the left, you go to the right. People hate uncertainty. And I believe that we have been at this level, and it reads here, mortgage rates have remained below 6.64 for the last 16 weeks, 4 months. And it's like, big deal. That's just normal. People are so focused on those 3.5% interest rates, but they can only stay out of that position for so long. And now they're finally accepting that what we're in is back to normal. And I'm glad you scrolled down to show all of these types of graphs and further on. We're back to 2019. Right? 2019, call it the last normal year that we really had in real estate. That was pre-pandemic. And our numbers are back to where they were.
Well, but I think what they're trying to show in these graphs is we've been trending the same, and then it's breaking trend right now. And we're starting to see a healthier home sales than we've seen in the past 3 years. And I expect this red line, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but to finish the year much higher than the previous 3 years. And I think that's really positive.
Yep. And that's, Brett, that's what I was saying when we were looking at the Tri-County numbers. We're going against what that long-term trend has been. And I believe, as you do, we're going to stay flat for the next while, which is good.
Yeah, for sure.
How do we access this report again?
You get it out of Circle. Luke posts it every Monday.
I'm just trying to.
Okay. And then text a buddy if you can't find it. All right. More homes will hit the market in 2026. Here's the pricing outlook. This is national. And they're quoting what NAR is quoting. Existing home sales will jump 14% in 2026, despite prices rising 4%. I don't know that we're going to see 4% price appreciation across the board. I think certain markets will experience better than that, and certain markets will experience less than that. It's definitely more hyper local than that. I don't know we're jumping 14% next year. I do know we're jumping. I think 14% is a big jump. We'll see. And everything I'm hearing and reading is 6% is probably be our normal interest rate for 2026, give or take. It's going to stay right around 6%. So the thing that gives me angst, which I just think about wealth and what real estate does for people's personal wealth. And Rick and I have been coaching and training, and I know the leadership here has for years about the power of real estate as a wealth vehicle. And when first-time home buyers hit record low, that is a generation of people not building wealth. Now, granted, they're probably going to all inherit a stupid amount of wealth from their parents when they go on, but who did build it through real estate. But there's got to be a fix for first-time home buyers at some point in the future. Any other thoughts on this one?
Well, the advantage of first-time home buyers is they're more transient. The average person, historically stays in their home 6 to 7 or 8 years. And when late 20s, early 30s folks buy, there's so many life changes coming for, marriage, divorce, job transfers, babies, school systems start to matter, social structure starts to shift and change as you mature. For me, when I started out in the 90s, what I found was that, a lot of my target audience, because I was 30 years old, they were my peers. And all I ran around pitching was wealth building. And what I found is they would move every 3 to 4 years, and it created opportunity for me to help them experience an entire evolution with me as their realtor of choice. And I'd like to see that return. But you're right, affordability is the question. And the data shows that they're buying later in life or deferring and punting it down the road.
Yep.
What I'm hearing from, the first time home buyers is that there's other ways to generate wealth. There's day trading, there's cryptocurrency. And, when they're investing in a home, everything in that home is their headache. And it's big bills that are coming down the line, as opposed to renting, not worrying about it, having amenities a lot more than if you would have owned your home. So how would you manage those objections?
Yeah. So I had a conversation, Patrick, with my sister who tried to have this argument with me. And I told her, I said, she tried to tell me, Wall Street stocks were a better investment than real estate. And I said, fine, pick an amount of number. And she said 50 grand. I said, okay, typical number, right? I said, yeah, you might put that 50 grand into the market. And what's your expected rate of return on that money? And she said, I think I could probably get 8% averaged out. And I said, okay, that's fair. I think you could chart that out and show that you could get 8% return on your money. I said, you could, if you took the $50,000 and bought real estate, and let's say you put 10% down, that could get you a $500,000 home. What's the rate of return on that $50,000 in real estate? She said, well, I hear it's 4%. And I said, yes, but what you've got to understand is 4% on 500,000 versus 8% on $50,000. And I said, so you go do the math on a spreadsheet and come back and let me know what you find. And yes, there's this argument, Patrick, that homeownership comes with additional costs. Homeownership comes with additional headaches. But I think most people wake up to the fact that there's a sense of pride of ownership. It is the original American dream and still is the American dream, right? And the challenge with that is they've got to learn the tax code and what tax benefits come from owning real estate, because that seals the deal in that conversation. But it's hard to explain it to somebody that's never owned a house before. They don't understand the tax benefit. They don't understand how to navigate all those conversations. Does that make sense? They're talking in emotion, not logic.
Yeah,
How
it
would you
definitely
handle it,
makes
Rick?
sense.
Well, I teach a class, Brett, called 10 Reasons to Buy Now. And it was actually a tool I developed when I was selling all those houses to young people who weren't thinking about it as an investment vehicle. And I'd be happy to jump on a Zoom. We should schedule that, like do a virtual class. It's not difficult. And the idea is to create conversations, Patrick, with people so that their eyes are open to the reality that diversifying your investment portfolio is critical. And truthfully, I've never met a truly wealthy person that didn't have real estate in their portfolio as a diversified strategy that also has legs. And there's 10 reasons. So I don't want to, we've got 1 minute left. I can't cover the class
There's your
today,
teaser.
but it's all about it's all about quality conversations and meeting them where they are and helping them visualize themselves in a better place. And that again, we all know real estate's a vital part of a landing pad, and even forced savings is one of the reasons. Very few people are very good at saving money, and your house is a vehicle for carrying equity and holding money that later has value.
Hmm.
I love
Amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Rick, let's schedule it.
Happy to.
All right.
Let's do it.
Last article. I'll let y'all read it. But South Florida home sales surge in October. Condo prices fall. This is not new information, but it's just the media reporting on it, right? They're showing single family home sales increased 10% in October. Condo sales are growing, but the median prices are dropping across the region. Not new information, yet the low interest rates are driving buyers back to the market. I think it's kind of tongue in cheek. Lower interest rates, when we've been living in this world where people are hanging on to the yesterday interest rate of 3%, right? So nonetheless, I'll let y'all read these articles. Any final thoughts today, guys? Happy Thanksgiving. I want to make sure I tell you that I have immense gratitude for all of you showing up, wanting to be better, wanting to learn. This is how we get better together. And you got to show up, right? So I'm just incredibly grateful for you all being here. Elsa, I know you had your hand raised. I didn't want to, if you had a question.
Actually, I was just piggyback with what Patrick was saying. I'm speaking with young people and they don't have that sense of ownership, as you were saying. So I agree with Rick. This is a conversation that we need to educate them, because I don't think that they have the American dream like I guess the previous generation used to have. They love to be much more transient and than usual.
Yep.
But
Emil, I see you up there. Pillars of wealth.
Well, and they can still be transient and own real estate, with VRBO and short-term rental. I mean, there's all kinds of cool things that, it should be part of the conversation so they make the best decision. And that doesn't mean buying is always the best decision. And that's part of being a great consultant that really cares.
Absolutely.
There you go.
But it's a
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
We
Thank
appreciate you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Rick,
Thanksgiving.
Hey, guys.
Business
Be
with
happy.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.